Here we go. Let's see if this takes place. Okay, I just saw it go live on YouTube.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to Twitch it or not.
There we go. Okay. I see us on the ooze tubes. I will check you. I will check Twitch right now.
I don't think it's going to Twitch.
Probably not. And if it doesn't, it's not a big deal.
Okay. I hope audio's making it through.
Let's see. I don't hear anything.
Check 1, check 2.
Oh, there's a reason for that.
Okay.
Say something.
Something.
Here we go.
Something.
We got it. Okay. Audio is coming through. Oh my God. This is going to be the biggest mess of a Press B episode that's ever been on this freaking planet. So those of you watching, sorry, YouTube. You ever seen two guys that are not ready for anything get together for something? This is it. Okay. Jesus God. Okay. You got the I guess I'll just tell you when we're ready to go. Okay. All right. We're late, guys, and there's a reason for that, and it's fine, but we'll get it figured out. Okay. One-liner.
My moral standing is lying down.
Yeah. We hurt ourselves today snow plowing the front yard. But we're going to talk about someone who has written hurt for hundreds of people, if you get the inside joke. Today's going to be a little bit weird, but it's going to bring us closer to God. Today on welcome one and all to the greatest retro gaming podcast this side of YouTube, where we talk nothing but retro games, gaming, and game affiliated type stuff. I am your host today, Chardmonk, and with me as always is my greatest, not sidekick, but leader in charge, because I can't technically get anything done without him. Sinistar, how are you doing today, sir? Oh shit.
I'm doing better now that I've popped open a tasty Dr. Pepper. Not sponsored.
Should be sponsored. Not sponsored, should be sponsored.
Yeah.
Cheers. Jake's gonna vomit.
Cheers.
When he sees it.
No, I want to call out. Have you and I done a podcast, just the two of us, since we joined?
I think we have.
I think we've done one
a long time ago.
It's time we took over again.
Yeah. I think we did one like 2 weeks after we joined the podcast.
Yeah.
They were like, all right, fuck you guys. It's yours. Sorry, YouTube.
I think it's
you guys deal with it.
I think it's time for us to put a ring on that finger.
We should
and get down in it. And
down in it.
Yeah. And just roll
that's
this.
What I get. We're just going to talk about Pretty Hate Machine, aren't we? No, we got to stretch out. So,
hey, look, it's something I can never have.
It's this guy. You are a terrible liar. Anyway, this particular episode is going to be one that we like to call the Gary Oldman /
Sandra Bullock
type episode. If you had listened to Press B Cancel many, many moons ago, before Sinistar and I ever had the pleasure of joining this wonderful team, the guys had done some riffing. Okay, they were kind of riffing and just talking about some things and some actresses and actors. And they named it that, even though maybe the episode wasn't entirely about that. But because I am so topic focused and I'm absolutely in love with the topic that we are going to talk about today, and Sinistar has an equal love and shares an equal enthusiasm about this certain topic. Today, we're going to talk about one of the greatest musicians that I know personally, my favorite and greatest musician to me of all time. That can be subjective, and that's fine. We're going to talk about Trent Reznor and his effect on gaming industry and gaming music and just his catalog in general.
Yeah.
I could easily talk about this for 3 hours, but we're going to try our best to not make it any longer than 45 to an hour, because we are riffing this episode. You will soon find out. But yeah, Michael Trent Reznor, born May 17th, 1967, if I'm not mistaken.
It sounds right.
Is a musician based out of Cleveland, Ohio. Is it Cleveland? It's Ohio. It may not be Cleveland, but it might be Ohio.
A Pretty Hate Machine was produced in Cleveland, at least.
It was in Cleveland. That's what I thought. I thought it might have been in Philadelphia, or not Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania when he moved down there. But a man of many talents, many instruments, has been in many bands outside of his own projects. What was it? Slam Bamboo.
Yes.
Exotic Birds.
Exotic Birds.
These bands up. Look these bands up and tell us that they're not one of the greatest things you've ever seen. Ever seen a man completely clad in leather playing the keyboards, but smiling. Very interesting. It's an interesting motif.
It's a very non-Trent Reznor.
It is, but he's doing his thing, and I absolutely love it. But as time progressed, Trent decided that he was going to work on his own project, and while he was working at a recording studio, he spent his all days cleaning, and what he did instead of getting paid is he took his time and used it to record albums late at night when no one was in there, or music when it was late at night when no one was in there. So he'd take care of the studio, he'd clean it, he'd do all this stuff, and then in return, they would allow him to use the equipment in which he created Pretty Hate Machine.
Yes.
Which was all written by Trent Reznor. He did all of his all the work all himself. He did it. Everything was solo. So let's clarify that everything Trent Reznor pretty much touches is done by himself, except for, I believe, Ghosts album and what is that one? Oh God.
Well, he's officially added Atticus Ross to the list of
yes. At the end,
yeah.
Now it's him and Atticus doing his thing.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Atticus Ross is also a musical producer who has worked on several different projects. If you know Coheed and Cambria, he produced Year of the Black Rainbow, which is great because now I have one of my all-time favorite bands with my all-time favorite musician married together by one person. He also was an artist that was part of How to Destroy Angels, was a side project by Trent Reznor and his wife, which is a great listen. Go check out How to Destroy Angels. It's good stuff. That's gonna kill me. I need to know that album now because I'm losing my Trent Reznor credit right now as we speak.
Well,
so you riff while I look
this up. You look that up. You mentioned, you started talking about kind of your join of your favorite musician and other bands, and I'm going to throw that out as well. Trent Reznor has quite an establishment in the industrial community, and I'm a huge industrial fan. So Ministry, Pigface, Bauhaus. He did Supernaut. Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious to hear the Pigface version of Suck, and then listen to his version of Suck on Broken on the extended play there. But yeah, he has a large establishment in the industrial community. And so for me, I mean, that really was what kind of drew me in. I was a fan of Pretty Hate Machine. I was introduced to Ministry. He, of course, had all those ties to Al Jorgensen for Ministry. And it was a love affair. It was a love affair of industrial joy. So,
it was.
Yeah.
And it's morphed. It's since morphed kind of into more of an alternative more of a heavier alternative style outside of it. He's made industrial music a lot more of a mainstream. That album I was looking for is called The Slip, by the way, is one of the two albums that he had all the musicians play on the album with him.
Okay.
There was a while back that I thought The Fragile had that, which is probably my favorite album by him. But it turns out that it's still him. But yeah.
If we're gonna talk favorites, Pretty Hate Machine is still my favorite. The remaster is absolutely fantastic. That came out 12 years ago or something like that. Mm-hmm. That remaster is epically good. But my favorite Nine Inch Nails song is on the follow-up EP, is on Broken, and that's Last. Last is my favorite.
That's great.
Yeah, I love that.
That has such a chunky guitar.
I love that riff. Get down it.
Yeah,
that's the part that gets me. That's the part that gets me.
I
So,
love his cover on that album of I think it's Adam Ant's cover of Physical.
oh, absolutely.
That and you can hear there's a little teaser in there because when he was early on in his career and he joined, he did Pretty Hate Machine, the
Hmm.
record company TVT picked it up
Yeah.
and sold it. Now, TVT did not allow Trent to really do what he wanted to do with his album and his stuff. So he had kind of a love-hate relationship with I forget what his name's Steve, but I can't
Yeah.
remember his last name, who was the owner of TVT. And if you listen at the very beginning of Physical when he released it was still on TVT before Nothing Records before he created Nothing Records and then did Downward
Hmm.
Spiral. You can hear him say "Eat your heart out, Steve" at the very beginning of Physical, and then it does the
Yeah.
wow.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the man has had his hands in numerous other projects. He's produced other people's albums. Sal Williams is he's a hip hop artist that he does a lot of written poetry. He did I won't name the album because it's probably a little sketchy for the name of it, but it's a great album that he is on and produces. Um, and then he just recently did if anybody Halsey is a fairly
Mm,
popular name
yeah.
amongst the pop group. He actually produced an entire album. Him and Atticus Ross and Halsey did. If I can't have love, I want power. Which I don't listen to Halsey. That's not a person that I would normally gravitate to. And from start to finish, that album is absolutely out of this world amazing. Um, he has also done work in video game content, which should probably lead us back around into what our initial was going to talk about. He has done, obviously, everybody knows Trent Reznor has a part in Quake. Those of you who have played first person shooters, he did the soundtrack for it. He did the sound effects for it. He
Yeah.
did everything. And so
Eh,
much as far as having the Nine Inch Nails logo on the nail gun
yeah.
ammunition
Yeah.
that's in the game.
I
Um,
have to call out because one of my favorite things ever is when you're in Quake and you dive under the water and you start to choke and you start to gag. That's Trent making choking and
yep.
gagging noises, and it's just epically good. I feel like he probably actually choked himself to do it.
During that time, probably a good possibility.
Yeah.
He was putting him into some kinky shit.
Yeah.
Um, What else did he actually fun fact, he composed the instrumental theme song to Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Didn't know that. His songs appear in numerous other games, Crisis 2, you have Just Like What You Imagine, which is easily one of my favorite instrumentals that he ever wrote. The Mark Has Been Made is in the Darkness 2. Head Like a Hole appears on numerous different things,
Yeah.
including Call of Duty Black Ops, Guitar Hero. He has The Hand That Feeds,
Hmm.
as well as The Collector, which are two both great tracks. Um, he did Hi-Fi Rush, which we have talked about in a previous
Yeah.
episode that the other two wonderful hosts of Press B to Cancel sat down and talked about. And of course, perked my ear up when he said, yeah, there's two Nine Inch Nails songs. Well, I found those two songs because Wolf couldn't put names to them. It is The Perfect Drug and 1,000, which is, or 100,000, which is the first song on the slip.
On the slip. Yeah.
Um, and numerous other things. Like I said, he was been in rock bands. He was in Tony Hawk's Project 8. He's even in Warframe 1999. You can find Into the Void as one of the opening tracks on there, which is a very popular track from the Fragile. Trent is an avid gamer. He's been known to be very much in the video game community. He has actually just announced that he is going to be doing the new game that was made by Naughty Dog, who for those of you who know, have done work on who produced Uncharted and the game that you hate. That's a scary game that you got for me for my PlayStation 5. That is also a very popular TV show, The Last of Us. Thank you very
Oh
much.
yeah.
Um, he's going to be doing a soundtrack for the game Intergalactic Heretic Prophet, which I don't care if that game's good or not. The soundtrack's going to be a banger, as well as Nine Inch Nails as a whole will be doing the soundtrack for the new Tron movie,
Yeah.
which can't be bad. That's another video game inspired Disney movie where Trent Reznor is going to be a part of. But not the only Disney movie he's been a part of. Let's point out that he has also won an Oscar for the soundtrack to Soul. So if you want to tell me who's not the greatest musician of all time, who can get a Grammy for best heavy metal album in 1994 with the Downward Spiral, and then come back out and write music for a Disney movie and get an Oscar for that,
Yeah.
I think you're a pretty talented individual, if I do say so myself.
Absolutely.
Sinistar, what is your fondest memories of listening to Trent Reznor and his earlier works, or his middle works, or even if you were driving in your car today listening to
Well,
it?
honestly, my favorite experiences are his tours that I've seen him on. Starting with Downward Spiral.
See, you went to the one I couldn't go to, and I hate you for it
Yeah,
because I was too young to go to that show.
and that was during the heyday. Like that was during the heyday of Woodstock '94 and all of that, where they were breaking instruments left and right.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
I remember him taking a keyboard that was on an arm and just
Yep.
bending it down on its side and just kicking the keys off. I remember this.
Yep.
I remember he was very particular with his live band, and he would, if they pissed him off, he would throw water bottles at them while they were playing.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest. Even though this one I didn't see in person, I watched Woodstock '94. I have a CD that was bootlegged off of the soundbar that's absolutely epically good. Yeah, I mean, one of the bands, you run into bands, just to give a kind of a counterpoint here. I love Tool. I absolutely adore Tool. But I went and saw a Tool show, and I'll be honest with you, I was disappointed. And I wasn't disappointed because they played poorly. No, I was disappointed because I could have gone home and listened to the album and had the same experience.
Right.
Maynard is very much, I don't want to be in the spotlight.
Well,
I'm not the band. Well, if unless he's with Perfect Circle.
recently, no,
Yeah.
no. Well, recently, if you have seen bootlegs of the Anima tour,
Okay.
which is that's Heyday Tool, where he
Yeah.
is out front and center. This is the tour where he painted himself white on one side and black on the other side,
Yeah.
or blue or something on the other side, and then you have the two different microphones, and one of them would have the reverb on it,
Mm,
and the other one would be clean. And when he would sing the different characters in his
okay.
songs,
Yeah.
he would switch sides. He also came dressed out as Colonel Sanders from KFC one year and was singing the songs on there. I mean,
See, that
Heyday Tool
that
is
to me
good.
sounds like what he would do with Pussifer.
Right.
So,
And that's kind of what he does with both Pussifer, and well, he doesn't do it for Perfect Circle as much, but it's
okay.
definitely with Tool, it's more about now. It's
Yeah.
more about the music than the show than what it had been in the
Well,
past.
my experience was this. He came out, he was on a platform that was spinning the entire time, and so he's
Mhm.
he's constantly keeping himself straightforward, but he's in
Yeah.
the back, and
Yeah.
he's painted, he's the bald Maynard, and he's painted a stripe down the front of himself
Mhm.
to the point that you can't make out his features. He does it on purpose, right? He wants to
Right.
be, and they played perfectly. They played absolutely stunningly perfectly, to the point that I listened to a studio album live,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then
Essentially, yeah.
they basically played, and then they were like, the guitarist was the only one that interacted with the audience, and he got up to the mic, went, "Thanks," and left. Like,
Yep. Yep.
and
the bass
and
player does it.
to compare and contrast, Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails play exquisitely live, but it also sounds live.
Yeah.
They've brought that heaviness, that just like you feel the power of the live performance, and
Oh, yeah.
he absolutely interacts with the audience.
Yep. There's
Just
versions of his songs that are better live than
yes,
on the album.
yeah,
Reptile,
yeah,
even Terrible Lie. I think
yeah,
the live version of Terrible Lie is without a doubt the best version that's out there.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Woodstock '94, one of the lyrics that actually sticks in my brain is not on a song. He's singing, I think it's Something I Can Never Have. If I remember right, I think it's Something I Can Never Have. And he just goes, "I've got mud in my fucking eyes." And it just sticks out in my brain, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah. Very
He
much
does
a
a lot
live
of
performer.
he does a lot of really cool transitionary stuff too. Like if you're a YouTube fan and whenever Bono comes out, he'll add the name of the city into a song that he's singing about
Yeah.
and it makes the crowd go crazy. Well, what Trent will do is he'll take like a lot of the times he'll do this with Closer specifically, and during the breakdown of Closer, sometimes he'll shoehorn other lyrics from other songs. Lately, the last couple of concerts I've been to, because I've been to far too many of them because I'm obsessed, he has shoehorned in The Only Time
Mm,
into the breakdown. So instead of doing the, within my stomach, on my knees, all that stuff, it turns into the do 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 do
yeah.
do 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 do, and he's, this is the only time, and he does this
Yeah.
whole thing. It's fucking great, and everybody loses their fucking minds over the whole spiel.
Yep.
Um, he Trent Reznor has a quote that I was a big fan of for a long time that made me want to kind of be into my own musical things. He quoted saying he finds something strangely musical about noise. And that's
Oh,
that's kind of the motif of Trent. And I was reading an interview with him when he was talking about recording The Fragile and how he did it and how he intentionally put things out of key in the song,
yeah.
singing it or playing the instruments kind of out of tune, because he wanted to add that level of tension and stress into the album so that when you're listening to it, there's a little bit of uncomfortableness while you're
Sure.
listening to it, which I think that kind of mental mind fuckery, sorry, YouTube, that he throws out there, it absolutely grips me and rips me to the core.
Yeah.
But you feel the emotion in everything that he's writing and he's singing about. All, like, even up to today, you
Yeah.
still really feel it. I mean, the last thing that he did was that short EP, and he did a song called God Break Down the Door.
Yeah.
And I swear to Christ, he is channeling David Bowie,
Yeah.
like, through that whole
Well,
thing.
okay, let's talk. I mean, we've already talked about him working with Ministry, Al Jorgensen.
Mhm.
We talked
Yeah.
about, him working with Pigface, which of course was
Yep.
like William Rieflin and, all of those people. But epically famous is I'm Afraid of Americans.
So
And
good.
and if you haven't seen the video, you have to watch the video. You have to, because Trent Reznor, first off, Trent Reznor actually gave almost exclusively all writing credits to David Bowie. Like, this
Mhm,
appears on a
mhm.
David Bowie album. It is
Yeah,
not a
appeared
Nine
on,
Inch. Uh,
is it Space Oddities? No, I don't.
The Earthling.
Earthling,
Yeah.
Earthling, that's right.
Um, but he, you can very much hear him singing in it, and then of course you can hear that Nine Inch Nails riff, right? That guitar riff. Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun,
But
dun, dun. Yeah.
but if you haven't seen the video, the lyric from David Bowie is "I'm afraid of Americans," right? And even like "God is an American" and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. Well, David Bowie is basically like fleeing through a city, and
Yeah.
Trent Reznor is the stalker chasing him. And there's
So good.
there's an epic scene with a cab.
Uh-huh.
And I want to say a gun, but it's a lack of a gun.
It's not a gun. It's
Yeah.
an invisible gun. Yeah. He's not holding anything, but he's holding it like he's holding nothing, as if
Yeah.
to hold a gun.
Yeah.
And you hear it's the Trent Reznor, it's the Nine Inch Nails kick drum digital bass coming, go da 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 da,
Yeah.
and the cab behind him starts blowing up,
Mhm.
and it's like get hit by bullet guns. And Bowie's just huddled in the corner while Trent's doing his thing, and then he disappears, and everything's back to normal, and then he starts doing the "God is an American."
Well, and there's a live performance of David Bowie singing, isn't it Hurt that they do together?
It is Hurt.
Yeah.
It is
and
Hurt.
and you can
Ironically.
see it's a great cover. It's my favorite cover. Nine Inch Nails doing Hurt is my favorite cover.
Yeah.
Yes, you're welcome, Jake. You're welcome.
Yeah.
But there's like, you can see at points David Bowie's up on stage in front of the microphone, and Trent Reznor's kind of beside him, but almost just a little bit behind him. And you can see on Trent Reznor's face, like, David Bowie's singing my fucking song.
Yeah.
This is awesome,
Trent Reznor is a huge David Bowie fan. He always credits him to being one of his major influence. He also credits Kiss on numerous occasions as being very influential to his music and stuff. He said in an interview during the Fragile tour that and I love this, and this is what makes me want to actually, they say don't meet your heroes, right?
Yeah.
Well, Trent was talking in an interview, and he's like, listen, there was a time in my life where I used to wrap tinfoil around my feet and stomp around the house listening to Kiss and Kiss Army. He's like, and then I met these people that I idolized and worship, and they're all fucking dickheads.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, so
Yeah.
don't be that guy. Like, he's like, so when people
Yeah.
come up to me, it's weird because he's not, he's not a very
Yeah.
he's not an outgoing kind of person, all since, other than the music persona that he is, but he still seems very humble
Yeah.
ish in a sense. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like he's still, even to this day, he's still like, I don't know why people listen to my shit. Like, I
Right.
don't understand it. But his influence can be felt musically and in video games and all over the place. And it's more so now in his older age where he's doing literally soundtrack after soundtrack for movies and this, that. He did Mink, he did Soul, he did
Yeah.
obviously The Social Network, which he won his first Oscar on.
Right.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I'm really sad they didn't complete that story with him doing the stuff in the David Fincher model. Him and David Lynch, R.I.P. David Lynch,
Yeah.
huge fan of David Lynch, good friends. He did Comeback Haunted music video and has worked with Trent on numerous other things. And when they did the Twin Peaks re-release, at the end of every episode, they'd go to the Roadhouse and there'd be a band playing in that show. Well, I think in episode 3 or 4, he did She's Gone on there, which is fucking incredible, on stage live with his wife and everybody else in
Yeah.
there. It's so cool to see. And he was trying to do something else for the show, and Lynch wouldn't let him do it. He told he had to do this song, and he was like, but I'm writing something specific for the show. He's like, no, I want this.
Right.
So
Right.
he did. She's Gone. There's been a lot of funny things about Trent's hesitation that has turned into inexplicable success.
Yeah.
For instance, Social Network. I think it's David Fincher reached out to him and was like, "Hey, I'm doing this movie. I want you to do the soundtrack for it." And he did Natural Born Killers, but he was more of a musical consultant for Natural Born Killers.
Well, didn't
as
he
well as
also
Lost
do
Highway.
Lost Highway? Yeah.
Yeah. But it was more of a consultant thing because it had Smashing Pumpkins, Marilyn Manson, Angelo Belligiata, the guy that does the music for Twin Peaks,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other musicians. So it wasn't soundtrack; it was bands that he coordinated with.
Right.
Stuff.
Right.
So he was like, he asked me to do this. I'm interested in doing this, but I don't think I'm ready to do. I'm not going to do it. And so he just waited and he waited and he waited, and finally, I don't remember what happened, but he was like, all right, I guess I'll give this a shot. So he calls up Fincher up and he goes, hey, I'm going to do your soundtrack for you. When you want me to start? He's all, I'm already started filming. You better get going. Like,
right.
I already knew you were going to do it. So get your shit together and get me something going here, like quick. So that's why a lot of the songs on the Social Network are from the Ghost albums, just reimagined a little bit.
Right.
And he won a freaking Oscar for that. So,
yeah.
His first dive into a soundtrack which tells the story of Social Network amazingly sonically.
Right.
I was the only person in the movie theater that when Trent Reznor's name came across as music by, I screamed. So yeah, like I'm at the goddamn concert myself.
Yeah.
But there's not enough that I can say about Trent and me personally that has affected me. I mean, he's done so much good music and so much. He's just been there for every step, and he's one of those people, one of those musicians that I feel like I grow with him.
Yeah.
And every time his albums are different, right? There's you get that I know what Trent sounds like. Like if you're sitting there and you're driving and a new Nine Inch Nails song comes on, you're like, I know this is Trent. It has to be. That's the only that sound is specific to him.
Oh yeah,
there's a saxophone in it. You're like,
right.
What is this doing in here? But it's still good,
Yeah, some of those remixes off of The Slip are kind of crazy sounding, right? Like they're almost jazzy, right?
Yep. Yep. There's a great remix that's done by The Faint, Time to Meet Your Master.
Yeah.
They did on the remix Year Zero, and it is sexy as fuck. It's super. And it's funny that he was like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that.
Right. Well, I mean, so another thing that he's done is, when he was out producing on his own before he kind of went back to labels, he's gone back to labels a little bit, and he actually has a talk about that. But when he was doing his own, for Year Zero, was it Year Zero? It probably was. He actually released like the actual sound files so that people could go
Remix.
and make their own remixes. And I remember, you want to hear the funniest thing? So Soul Archaic, who I do my DJ stuff with, right?
Yeah.
So he's a drummer by hobby. He
Right.
you know, it's not his day
By
job.
trade.
But he's been a drummer. I mean, that's actually how we met. But you know, he likes to play with, you know, digital audio workstations, DAWs and stuff like that. And he downloaded the sound files from Nine Inch Nails website to participate in the remix stuff. And I came home and he basically had like put Only together just like it was on the album. And I was like, so are you just playing that off the album? He's like, I've never heard this song. I've never heard this song, but this is how it felt like it fit together.
That's crazy. That's crazy. He did something similar with a lot of the songs off of the Fragile too. And I remember grabbing the Big Come Down and was just kind of messing around with it in my own musical attempts. He also did something really cool when he released Ghosts. He had a videography music video contest that he did. He's like, take my here's all these instrumental tracks, which 2.5 hours of instrumental music, make something with this, like do something with it. And these people made these wonderful collages of his music that had all kinds of stuff, and what made you like very serene, and then other ones creeped you out. It had some weird, there's one that's just, it's very just about percussion, right? And it's got some weird bass with a little plucking of a guitar here and there. But somebody took a video from a 1950s like medical documentary about hearing loss or something.
Okay.
And it did, there was no talking, there was nothing, it was just a video of this thing. But the way that the music went with the video was like haunting. It was so well put together.
It was Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon to Wizard of Oz.
Similar. It's, you know, it's some of the stuff that people creatively come up with is pretty spectacular. I'm lucky enough to actually get to go and see him again this year, which is kind of where this topic came out of my brain, because I was like, well, who do we talk about movie star wise? And I was like, you know what? Sinistar and I both love Nine Inch Nails. He's kind of a big topic right now.
Yeah.
Let's bring him up. He plays video games. He's a big gamer guy. He had a whole arcade set up in his Nothing Studios in Louisiana for a long time, which is where I think he wrote Quake, or started doing the stuff for Quake.
Right.
He was also, and I told you this before we started, he was going to do, and you knew this, he was going to do the entire soundtrack for Doom 3. But due to poor management, money, and time commitment, he dropped the whole thing.
Yeah.
But his one of his old bandmates, one of his live bandmates, and one of a bandmate that used to have, Chris Frenna, actually ended up taking over the job, doing it for you. So if you're going to get somebody who's going to do Nine Inch Nails-esque music, you might as well have one of the old bandmates that did it too.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about Chris Frenna a little bit, because he also did the American McGee games. So American McGee Alice in Wonderland and American McGee Alice Returns. And those soundtracks are spectacular. The games are very good too. But those soundtracks are absolutely spectacular. So yeah. Oh, and then another fun live musician that's been with him. What's his name? Patrick from
Richard Patrick.
Richard Patrick from Filter, who's the brother of Robert Patrick, who played the T-1000.
The T-1000. Yep.
Yeah.
And in numerous other things. He's also in recently he was in that movie, that show with John Cena, who plays the Patriot guy. He plays his father. He's the villain.
The Peacemaker?
Yes, he's his father in The Peacemaker, who is a racist asshole. It's great. Chris Frenna also, he did a rock collaboration called Tweaker many moons ago, and I think that's where a lot of the Alice in Wonderland music came from.
Yeah,
I always thought that was, I get Brenna and Closer mixed up all the time.
Yeah,
Charlie Closer was Chris Frenna was his longtime earlier. I think he was his drummer.
His drummer, right? Yeah, percussion.
And then Charlie Closer is his keyboardist during the Fragile years and on. Speaking of band members, of Nine Inch Nails. 2020, Nine Inch Nails was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And everybody knows it's just Trent for the most part, right? And then he brings Robin Fink with him as his
Yeah.
long-standing guitar player
Yep.
since Downward Spiral days. He's had a multitude of different musicians play drum for him, but right now it's Elon Rubin, who was originally the drummer for the Lost Prophets, but the only drummer that has ever been able to play the perfect drum live flawlessly, which Trent said was impossible to do. And Danny Lohner was his longtime bass player, guitar player, and keyboarder that he had for a while. Chris Front, obviously, Richard Patrick, sorry. Important groups that have joined him. And instead of just being like, yo, hey, thank you for welcoming me into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he literally took Robin Fink, Elon Rubin, who I believe, don't quote me on this, whoever's going to listen to this episode, is the youngest musician to be introduced into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Richard Patrick, I think Chris Verena,
Yeah.
and
Probably
Danny
Clouser.
Lohner, and Charlie Clouser. He brought all of them with him, and they are now all inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with him under the Nine Inch Nails moniker. So it's not just Trent and Atticus Ross. He brought Atticus Ross in as well. So instead of just being like, yeah, that's all my shit, he took all these people that have played live with him, even because him and Richard Patrick did not have a great separation during Pretty Hate Machine. And that's why a lot of earlier Filter stuff has that Nine Inch Nails guitar sound to it because of what they worked with together. But they, obviously since Men's Fences, since 1987, 1986.
Yeah.
And he had during their last show, which was supposedly going to be their, well, I just called them hiatus tours because Trent just keeps popping out of the woodwork, which I'm not mad about. Because I've been to 2 Wave Goodbye tours.
Yeah.
He just keeps coming back. He actually had Richard Patrick come out, Chris Verena and Danny Lohner come out on stage with him in this very small stage in Cleveland, Ohio, and play earlier tracks from Pretty Hate Machine together. It was really cool. And then they played Hey Man, Nice Shot together.
That's cool.
For Filter being there. But the fact that he is willing to be like, he shares the limelight with the people that help him do his stuff. And there's just a level of respect where you're just like, damn, man. And he just makes music. You see him everywhere. They did Mantra with the drummer Dave Grohl and the singer guitar player for Queens of the Stone Age, whose name is completely eluding me at this time. Look up your Mind Palace, man. Come on. Queens of the Stone Age is dope. They did a bunch of music together, just a bunch of like jamming instrumental stuff that they worked on together. He's just everywhere. And it's like, where he's just there. He's just there doing his thing, making music. And I fucking love him for it. Cause it's like, I'm never without my Trent. Josh Home. Thank you. Josh Home.
Okay.
And he just shows up in places. Like the minute I hear like a new soundtrack is being dropped, didn't he just won an award for Challengers, if I'm not mistaken, his soundtrack that he did with which is a super 80s like funk pop thing that you're like, what is this? Is Trent? It's great. I mean,
that's fun.
And when Tron comes out, man,
I'm
toast.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely toast.
Well, the guy
completely inconsolable.
You touched a little bit on him, when he talked about meeting his heroes, when he talked about meeting Kiss, he's like, these guys are dicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be those guys. It reminded me of a little, there's a live footage, and I think it's probably on YouTube, but there's live footage of him. I think it's in Australia or New Zealand. I don't remember which, but when Broken came out and Broken had the mini CDs, the record, sellers were splitting them and selling them separately. Right. And he basically went down and he told them they need to stop. Right. And then he went back on tour again, that later tour back there. And he's like, have they stopped? And the whole audience is saying no. And so he literally is on stage. He's like, steal my fucking albums, steal my albums. He's like, I don't, it's not money off my, steal my albums, Screw these people.
He is very anti-corporation. He's always has been, has always been against the establishment, as it were. And he's done things like for a while back there, Radiohead had released in rainbows. And they did this thing where you can buy the album for as much or as little as you wanted to.
Sure.
You can buy the album for $1, you can buy it for $100. It's completely up to you what you wanted to do. And there wasn't any like bonus for paying more or paying less. You just got
Right.
the album regardless. Trent did the same thing with Sal Williams's album.
Yeah.
And you could spend $1, you could spend whatever you wanted to. There was this big thing where they were trying to just be like, we don't care how much you give us. We want you to have music. Give us whatever you got. Like, just give us the fucking change in your pockets and we'll give you free music for it or music for it. And it was a really cool revolution that they were doing back. It's got to be 2005, I think, was around when this stuff was happening. But he always feels like he's on the forefront of a lot of these things. I mean, doing the double album Through the Fragile was, unfortunately, from what I heard, was kind of a commercial failure out of what it came out of. And then you got Radiohead doing Insomniac and Kid A.
Yeah.
And those were commercial successes. And you're like, what? They're this, but they did the same. Like Trent's like, it did the same. The numbers were the same. Why was mine a failure? And there's a success. It doesn't make any sense. So, you know, it's more or less just him just working against everything. And he's always been like, he's kind of the guy that's like, you really want to do this? You are good at what you do. I'll do this for free because it's fun, because you're good. It's talented. It's great. There's a story that I have of going to see him live during one of the many eras that I went and saw him. I think it was also 2005-ish or whatever. I went and saw him at the Cal Poly Rec Center in San Luis Obispo, California, which is a gymnasium at the college campus. This man played a gymnasium at a college campus, and I'll never forget. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. He came out, he played a couple songs, he turned the lights up, and he goes, "Man, all you guys just saved my touring agent's fucking job." Because when he showed me where I was playing, I almost fired him on the spot. But because of all you people here, he gets to keep planning my tours.
That's
Anyways,
awesome.
this is Deep. And he started playing Deep, which blew my mind off the Tomb Raider soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's funny. He's got a lot of humor with himself. He came out and he did Hurt, you know, the song that he's covered from ABBA.
Yeah.
Since we're gonna we'll throw that joke around still. But when he came out to do Hurt, he goes, I'm gonna play a song that's not mine anymore, because Johnny Cash had covered it and had great success with the song, and he played it, and he's like, it's really not mine anymore. Like I know I wrote it, but I wrote it for him, apparently.
Although I've told you this, and I want to throw this out on the internet record. I think Johnny Cash's version, while good, is subpar to the original.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But we're also kind of homers for Trent. Like, there's a point where you're like, I can respect that. I mean, AFI did a cover of Head Like a Hole that's really good. It's really good.
Sure.
Is it the best though? No, but it's really good. It's just not. It's not Trent Reznor. It's not gonna happen. I did a cover of Something I Could Never Have in my own bedroom, and it turned out really well. But you know, I'm proud of it. Doesn't mean it's any good, but I'm proud of it. Yeah. But no, I mean, this will probably be a short little episode about us ranting and raving about a wonderful musician that we both adore. But I mean, Trent is the reason I got into music. He's my version of Kiss was to him. He was the reason I was like in my room with a keyboard in front of my mirror, smashing a broom handle into it, because that's what you do. Listening to Something I Can Never Have and Terrible Lie and Sin and all of those. The cover of, he did a Queen song. Not many people know this, but Get Down, Make Love is a Queen song.
There's a reason that the little end notes are Queen songs mashed together.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it sounds like, is that Freddie Mercury? That sounds like Freddie Mercury.
Yep.
Get Down, Make Love by Queen is fantastic. It's a great song too, and his cover is also quite sexy.
He did a cover of Dead Souls for the Crow soundtrack, which I think is better than the original. I am a big fan of originals generally being better, but there are a couple out there like Jimi Hendrix doing All Along the Watchtower is the best Bob Dylan song in the world is Jimi Hendrix doing All Along the Watchtower.
I mean, that's not. I'm going to get us blasted here, but there's no one about Bob Dylan.
Listen, he's a great songwriter. He just needs to have somebody else sing.
His son His son has an amazing voice.
Yeah.
Jacob Dylan has a phenomenal voice.
Because
you don't have to love the Wallflowers, but you have to admit he sings better than his goddamn dad.
Because his dad could be like, honestly, I wonder if Bob Dylan was the voice for Barney. I love you. You know?
Yeah. I could very well
be. No, I'm gonna get us fired. Sorry, Jake.
That's fine. I know Jake's he's a huge Bob Dylan.
He's a huge Bob Dylan fan. His favorite song is "Hurt," the original by Bob Dylan.
By Bob Dylan, yeah, and his son, Jake Dylan.
But no, Dead Souls is, in my opinion, better than the original. And I mean, I'm not the biggest Joy Division fan anyway, but I do like a fair amount of Joy Division. But that version is better by far. Yeah.
Burn is a great song. I was told in high school that many, many moons ago, and that's not a cover, it's a Nine Inch Nails original, but I'd been a fan growing up. My sister introduced me to Nine Inch Nails. She's, I think you and her are very similar in age, so you have
probably
between the two of them. And she showed him to me, and I've been a fan ever since Pretty Hate Machine and beyond. And when I was in high school, there was a kid that I knew, and he was like, "You're a big Nine Inch Nails fan, huh?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Have you heard the song Burn?" And I was like, "No, I haven't heard it yet. I want to." He's like, "You're gonna fucking hate him after you hear that." And I was like,
"What?"
I don't think so. And he was like, "You will." So I was nervous. I was like, "Well, I think I'll avoid that song then, because I like everything he does." And it came on one time, and I was like, "This song is dope."
Yeah, what
are you talking about? It's like my new favorite song now.
Yeah.
Like it's aggressive, and it's heavy, and it's angry, and it was everything an angsty teenage Chardmonk needed.
Yep.
It was perfect. And then he did I still have a wrapped version of his re-release of A Downward Spiral that has Burn memorabilia and a bunch of stuff from one of his remixes. I think it's out in the garage in a box. But yeah, I still have that limited edition CD that he's got. Still with the price tag on it.
You mentioned that I was to use your term, I was a homer for collecting all of, like, I have the European,
all the Halos.
I have the European version of Further Down the Spiral, the one with the Ruiner and the Heresy versions. I have that in physical form. So literally listed as Halo. Is it Halo 10 V2? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. The vinyl version of With Heath that comes with Home, different version of Right Where It Belongs, version 2, which I think is a better version than the original version of it, because it's just the piano.
I do have the mini CD version of Broken.
The thing I never got was the mini CD of Broken. My sister had it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
We used to race. Her and I used to race to see if we could get all the Halos. So I would do all this yard work for people and do mowing lawns and all kinds of chores and shit. And then I go to our local record store, Dimple, in Sacramento, and I'd thumb through everything that was Nine Inch Nails if I didn't have the Halo. Even I don't care if I had like 2 songs on it. I had the Sin remixes that has like 3 fucking versions of Sin and nothing else on it, but it had a Halo number on it, which I think was 2. And I scooped that bad boy up real fast. So,
I do like the
Down
dub.
In It is what though? The Down In It the Down In It single is Halo 1.
Yeah. I have
38 Machine is 2.
I also have the European version of that with the non-black and white cover, the one that's like pink and blue.
Yeah.
So I've got that. Yeah. For those that are unaware, he labels all of his releases as Halo with a number. And so when we're talking about getting,
he stopped doing that after the Fragile, before the Fragile.
Could have been.
I think he had the.
I think the Fragile's a Halo, if I remember right.
Is it? I could have sworn that the Perfect Drug remixes was the last Halo that he made. We'll have to look that up. I don't know if that's true. Two excessive people that can't even remember that. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, you talk about him doing the whole pay what you want. I actually, when he gave away the slip, I was like, okay, this is awesome. I want to support him, so I bought one of the limited number releases of that. Because otherwise you could just go get it for free. So yeah.
Right. Nope. I also I ordered his, what was it, the more recent album that he sent out. Let me see if I can find it here. It was after the slip.
Well, there's year 0.
Well, no, it's the 3 EPs that he has that has the She's Gone, Add Violence, God Break Down the Door.
Yeah.
Add Violence is an amazing,
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah. Add
Not
Violence
the
is
actual
great.
events. I got not the actual events. I ordered it online and he sent it to me. And this is the weirdest fucking thing. He didn't personally send it to me. I got it from his store.
He's in his house. I've got to send this to Chard.
Yeah, Chard's got to get it. But it had charcoal inside of it. So when I pulled the disc out and it had a note or something like written in it, like, thank you for purchasing this, you're a true fan, all this other stuff. I had charcoal on my hands and all
Huh.
over my apartment in Seattle for fucking weeks. I couldn't figure out. I still have the case that it's in. It was like a black envelope.
That's weird.
And I looked inside and there's fucking charcoal dust inside. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, what, you glitter bombing my ass? What are you doing to me, man? So a lot of charcoal in the house for quite a while. I was like, is there a secret message in here? No, I'm just making a mess. That's all I'm doing.
Maybe he did send it to you personally.
Maybe he did.
It's like, fuck this Chard guy. I'm gonna give him coal. This is his
fuck
Christmas
that.
gift.
Covering my shitty song. Fuck you. But yeah, no, he there's the 3 EPs. He did that song with Health. I know you're a big fan of Health.
Oh, Isn't Everything?
That came out?
Yeah.
It's in Everyone.
Or Everyone, yeah. Isn't Everyone is so good.
So
yeah.
Yeah. I there's not enough that I could say about Nine Inch Nails that isn't a complete, like I said, a complete
gushing about we're 9 Inch Nails homers. I mean, you know.
Time.
Yeah.
Big
yeah.
time. Bingo.
Yeah.
There's another one. I got a bunch of them back here. Things falling apart. You can't see it, but it's in this little cubby here. I got things falling apart in there. Big fan. Big fan.
Yeah. I got Pretty Hate Machine. It's still packed up, but I got Pretty Hate Machine on vinyl and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and my Tension poster.
Yep.
Tension. Oh, I'm gonna go show this one. This one I got 3 limited edition shows in California that he did.
Nice.
He did Davis, Reno, and Fresno. Yes. And I got to go see him in Reno. And when I was at this concert, he hadn't released With Teeth yet. That was the album he was touring. There's this dude in front of me. And of course, in my youth, I was always going to be up in front and center as close as I can. There was this dude behind me at Reno that knew some of the songs, and I only knew a few, but somebody had gotten a bootleg version of this album. I don't know where he got it from, but whatever. And he knew part of the songs. And at the end of literally every single song, Sinistar, he'd go, "We did it, Trent. We did it." I'm like, we did what? What did you do? And he's like, "We did it, man. We did it." I was like, Jesus Christ.
We brought it home. We brought it home,
bud. You did it. We did it together. I'm like, God damn it, man.
Jeez. That was probably high as hell.
Oh, he's complete. I mean, we were in Reno, so God knows what else there was to do other than lose your money and watch 9 Inch Nails. But
yeah.
Great stuff, man. Good stuff. This was kind of a riff episode for us just to kind of talk about stuff. We are very off our usual discussion on video games or years in video games, and we apologize for that. But to be honest with you, adulting got in the way. We missed out last week. People are traveling across country. Please be safe, Jake. And just dealing with things out there. And we were like, we can't not have something for you guys.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we skipped last week. It almost was going to be a single man show tonight.
Yeah.
Because
fucking talking for
I wrecked my my back this morning, but it's feeling all right. I might have been helping it. But
solo cup of healing.
That's right, the solo cup of healing. This is mana. This is not mana. Sorry, this is a health potion.
We're real close to you guys watching me play Monster Hunter Wilds for like that's close because that's been my true obsession over the last couple of weeks is Monster Hunter Wilds.
But I think probably next week we'll be back on for actual video game discussions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you are not huge musical fans or could give 2 shits about Trent, we're sorry, but this is our Sandra Bullock and Gary Oldman episode for Press Me to Cancel from Sinistar and Chardmonk.
Yes.
But with that, since we're looking down the barrel of about an hour, we can go It's not round robin because there's only 2 of us,
That's right.
but we can go back and forth. Sinistar, what are you up to these days, sir?
I've been doing the DJ thing over on DJ Sinistar on Twitch. I've been doing that. I have not uninstalled Cyberpunk 2077, so I still have not beaten my Sisyphean.
But you haven't installed it.
But
you haven't uninstalled it yet.
I haven't uninstalled it.
Jake.
Otherwise, I've just been adulting a lot, and it kind of sucks, and I need to get a little bit more non-adulting. So, yeah. How about you?
Adulting does. Adulting. The adulting has been up my ass so much to the fact that I have taken a small hiatus from my own personal streams at Chardmonk over Twitch. It's not forever. It's not a forever thing, but I just need a break. I need a break to recalibrate, resituate, and figure out what the hell I'm doing with my life. But I'm here with Presby. That is not going anywhere. This is my love. This is my passion, and this is something that I absolutely enjoy doing with my itty bitty family. That is you, Jake, GP, Werewolf, and every Friday. This is something we look forward to doing, to the point to where we're like, I will make this happen if it's by my fucking self. I don't care. I want to do something, and I'll be the hero if I have to be. But actually, the hero of tonight's episode is definitely Sinistar for pushing through the pain and sitting down with me and doing this. So I didn't have to do this by myself because I don't know if I could have lasted a whole hour. That's what she said. Anyways, but I will be doing some videos here this weekend, probably of some Monster Hunter. I'm going to post them up here in the Press B to Cancel YouTubes. I did manage to pick up Deliverance. That was for sale for $7 on Steam right now. Oh, the
first Deliverance.
$7. Yeah, just one. Although I did get a nice congratulatory at my work with a little extra bonus cash. That's free money. Might be throwing that on Deliverance too. I don't know yet.
Okay.
Otherwise, I also am super excited about Claire Obscure 33. It's coming out on my birthday, Sinistar, and someone may have already gotten it for me as a birthday gift. So we'll be playing that and talking about that next month, since those are big games that are coming out. And then Monster Hunter Wilds has just been wild. It's been an absolute joyride. Both me and Jake have credits rolled on the main story of that game, and I am still playing that game obsessively even after the story is done, because you don't play Monster Hunter for the story, and thank God, because it's a little bit whatever. But the grinding and hunting of the monsters and becoming a charge axe main has been one of the greater joys of my life the last couple of nights. So Jake and I will probably sit down and do an episode about Monster Hunter Wilds here probably pretty soon, because it's relevant, and he and I both love playing it. We send each other TikToks about it literally every single day because we have a problem. So yeah, but you'll catch me here on Press B to Cancel most Friday nights, almost every Friday night, unless adulting happens or I just need a night off, and these guys can carry the very wide load that is my ass and not have to worry about it. But yeah, I want to thank everybody who came out and listened to this. The people that are going to listen to us, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music. Also, we are part of the SuperPod Network as well.
Yeah.
That has all kinds of great stuff. Remember 64. Jake just did an episode with Dave from Remember 64 about the all great Paperboy game. Don't know what he was drinking that night, but apparently it was good, because he talked very highly about Paperboy 64. Go check it out. It's a great episode. We love hearing Jake talk. Not only here, we also like to hear him talk literally on everybody else's podcast, because that guy is hitting the podcasting pavement real hard. So go check that out. Check out all the other people that are in the SuperPod Network, SuperPod Saga. Again, Remember 64 and numerous other retro, the
3DO experience. Yeah.
3DO experience. Some great dudes. I got it right, Jake, and you're not here. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of myself. Anyways, and I didn't even have to look it up. I finally remembered what it is.
Come to our website, pressbtocancel.com or pressb.org. Join our Discord. Come gush about your favorite musicians, especially if it's Trent Reznor.
Yes, please. We're probably gonna start a channel that is Disney, Elden Ring, Balatro, Trent Reznor.
Tron.
Tron. All right, guys, if that's all we've got, safe travels, Jake. Safe travels, Wolf. Safe betting, Sinistar.
Yes.
Back better.
Yeah.
Safe learning, GP. Hi, GP. We love you. We miss you. and safe monster hunting from your boy here, Chardmonk. Until next week, this has been Press B to Cancel.